Hello goat lovers, Crystal here with Blue Cactus Dairy Goats, and I am back in the kitchen making soap today. We are going to be making a really awesome bar, and it is our salty sea bar. But before we get started on that, you guys, want to let you know we are having a Labor Day sale, and right now you can head on over to our Etsy shop and enjoy 20% off orders over $50, and that does include globally, guys. Okay, so this here is our salty sea bar. It's given its color with some indigo and a little bit of charcoal, and it also is chock full of sea salt. And then it has this really fun topping that kind of looks like waves. Alright, so our salty sea bar is another one of those bars that we actually struggle to keep on the shelf because people really love it. So it is a hard, long-lasting bar, and that is due to the salt, which we will get into. And we'll also go over what benefits salt actually can give to the skin, because it's amazing. Alright, so we are going to start with our base oils here, which may or may not include olive oil, castor oil, shea butter, and coconut oil. And to this, we are going to add our indigo and charcoal. Now, from my view on this camera here, guys, it looks like it's just black and it's just charcoal, but there is a little bit of indigo in here and a very tiny bit of charcoal that's going to give it that dark, deep blue color. So we're just going to put that right in here, and I am going to try to put it all in the same little spot. It's not a lot, but putting it in the same spot is going to allow me to pour the milk over it, and some of that is actually going to go down into the oils, and it just helps it all get incorporated into the oils a little easier. And now the most important ingredient to goat milk soap, of course, is the goat milk. And we have Nigerian Dwarfs, and they happen to have the highest butter fat of all of the dairy goats, so that only benefits the soap more. And check that out, that already looks really cool. Alright, so now what we're going to do is stick blend all of this up. And the charcoal and the indigo, because they're so fine, it is a little bit harder to get them blended into the oils and milk. But if you give it enough time, it will completely be blended with no extra little chunks or particles. So that is what we are going to do. Give it a little bit of stir here. And then we're going to blend until it is all good and combined. So if you guys can see already, it has this light blue tint to it. And as the indigo gets incorporated more and more and more, it's going to get darker. So you guys can see that transformation. But you'll see here, these little chunks. You want to make sure all of those are blended in completely, or else, there'll be big chunks of indigo in the soap in the final product, and nobody wants that. What a beautiful color that is. So, the theme I was going for here, obviously, it is our salty sea bar. So the color of the deep blue ocean, out in the middle of the ocean, the deep dark blue color, and I love it. I think I got pretty darn close working with ingredients that are all natural. You don't got a lot to choose from necessarily, but I love it. I think that's perfect. So just a little more blending. As I gave it a little stir, you guys can see some particles coming up to the top there. Alright, you guys, check that out. It is looking beautiful. See how I said it would get darker, and I just absolutely love this blue. Of course, blue is my favorite color, but nonetheless, this is a pretty blue. Okay, so now for the lye. For the lye, we are just going to pour it over the stick here, carefully. There we go. And then, like always, I'm just going to stir it up a little bit and make sure the lye, oils, and milk are all incorporated before I start blending. And then the lye always makes it even darker. So if you guys can see that change. Once it cures, it does lighten up just a bit, but for now it's going to stay dark, and then we'll get it curing and it slightly lightens up. Just a pretty color though, huh? Okay, so for this soap, I'm actually looking for it to be a little bit thicker, and the reason being is because when we add the salt, I don't want it to all sink to the bottom. I need it to be thick enough, the soap batter, to be thick enough that it just kind of floats throughout and does not sink to the bottom, because done that before, not fun. So we are going to blend this up until needed, until it's the perfect consistency, but not too thick either. So here we go. Alright, give it a look-see here. Now, honestly, you guys, like that, I know because I've made enough soap that this is perfectly fine. I could pour it into the molds, we could be good to go, walk away, and it will harden up into soap because it is completely emulsified. However, if I keep going, it'll get thicker quicker for me. And then when you're looking for trace, is what they call it, you just kind of get your stick blender and you go right over the top. So this is a super duper light trace at this point. And obviously, like I mentioned, I'm trying to get it a little bit thicker because if I were to pour the salt in right now, boom, to the bottom, and it's done. So we're going to give it a little bit longer because I don't want to walk away for 10 minutes and leave it thicken up that way. I would like it to do it on my time. So here we go. Okay, so as of now it is still just a little bit too thin, but literally in about a minute and a half it'll be exactly what I need it to be. So if you're new to soap, you want to make sure that you get it to at least that consistency so that you know it isn't what's called a false trace or anything like that, because after all of the work and the money spent with the oils and so forth, you do want to make sure it turns into soap in the end, and if it isn't emulsified enough, then it will not turn into soap. So keep that in mind. Okay, so I just rinsed a couple of my dishes out, and I can already tell by looking at this, literally it's been a minute, guys, and I can tell, check it out, so that is much thicker, and that happens quick because of the amount of time I spent blending it. So we need to add that salt before it gets any thicker. So sea salt is the salt that we use in our salty sea bar, and it is an amazing additive to your soap. Not only does it have a bunch of benefits to your skin, but it also makes the bar longer lasting and a harder bar. And for those of you making the soap, when you unmold it, it is amazing to unmold because it's quicker to unmold and it just unmolds so beautifully. Alright, so as for the sea salt, it is going to go right in the soap batter here. And sea salt is one of those amazing ingredients for the skin also. So it's super packed with natural healing properties. It reduces inflammation, redness, and irritation, and it just soothes the skin. And it gently exfoliates dead skin cells and cleans out your pores, all of those really wonderful things. And it also helps lock in moisture. So, who doesn't want salt in their bars? I'm like, not even kidding. It's wonderful for the soap. So all in all, it really just helps give a better complexion to your skin because of it, again, just taking off dead skin cells gently. If you put it in like this, rather, because it is gonna, I left the granules in here. I didn't dissolve it and add it in. So it is going to have just a very mild exfoliant effect to the soap. Okay, so that is completely stirred in. You want to make sure you don't stir the whole time because you're not trying to dissolve the salt. And that is ready for the molds. Perfect. Ooh, and another thing I forgot to mention, one of the great benefits to salt soaps is it actually helps reduce body odor. So if that's something that you struggle with, if you use salt soaps for an extended period, you will start noticing that you don't have BO so bad. So that is also a very, very awesome thing about the salt soaps. All right, we are just going to pour it right on in. See how it's perfect? It's thick enough that the salt is all throughout and not just at the bottom, but it's also still thin enough for me to pour in and not have to worry about any bubbles on the sides or anything like that. And man, that color, you guys, I love it. Super pretty. All right, I'm just going to smooth her out. Oof, just pretty. Love that. Okay, so for the topping, I will show you guys in just a little bit because for my topping I do want my soap to set up just a little bit more. That way the topping is perfect. As of now, it is just a little too runny for it. So I'm going to clean a couple dishes and I will be back to top it with you. Alright, so it has been a few minutes and it should be ready, but we're going to check it just to make sure. So for this topping, all I'm going to do is use my little tiny spoon and I'm going to go across the top down the whole length of it, but 3 swipes. 3 swipes, 3 swipes, 3 swipes. And what it does is just kind of give this cool wave look. So I think it is perfectly fitting for the salty sea bar. So let's do it. And it's also like one of my favorite toppings because it's just really satisfying. Here we go. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Oh, I love it. I'm not trying to go deep or anything like that. And then over here on the side, I don't really want it to go over. So I'm trying to keep it from doing that, but not always the easiest. Sometimes your little swoopy gets a little carried away. But how satisfying is that? And it's just awesome looking. It is one of my favorite toppings for sure. Gorgeous. So what's also really cool is this bar is going to ash on the top, which if you guys haven't heard me speak about ash, it's literally just, here I'll show you actually. It is the kind of white that goes on the top of the bar. Now this is something that happens naturally. It's nothing to be afraid of. It actually is kind of pretty. It makes it just look natural, and that again is what naturally happens. It does not affect the soap in any manner or any way as far as quality is concerned, but some of my soaps I really, really like that it actually ashes like that. And I leave it be. So the Salty Sea is one of them, again, because it just seems so fitting for it. And the reason it ashes is because if you soap at really low temperatures, your soap is very likely to start ashing on the top of it. So it's just from the oxygen and soaping it at really, really low temperatures, which you guys know I do. So let's do this one. So another thing that happens is all of the little speckles of salt you can see throughout the soap, which I am a fan of. It just adds to the beauty of the bar, to be honest. And this bar does not have any essential oils in it. The only scent this one has is from the high quality oils that we've used in it. Gives it a really beautiful earthy smell. What are you doing moving my camera around, mister? We got the big boo in here today. So you gotta let me finish. You lay right down. He's so big. He's getting to be an old guy. Other than the goat milk soap, the star of this bar is the salt. All of the wonderful benefits, and because it is such a beneficial soap for your skin, I just wanted to leave it at that. I didn't want to add anything extra. This is just a very mild, very soothing soap with the very minimal ingredients that are added to it. So that is a lovely, lovely topping, you guys. Check it out. And there she is. How pretty is that? Yeah, I'm a big fan of that topping. What do you guys think? I actually have a lot of toppings that I love that are just satisfying and they look really good afterwards. And typically it's the ones that are the most simple and the easiest. So this is definitely one of those. But we are done. That is it. That is how you make the Salty Sea. And we do have some Salty Sea in stock, you guys. So head on over to our Etsy shop and make sure you try out this bar because you are going to love it. And of course, take advantage of the 20% off on all orders over $50. Until next time, I will see you all again soon.